Hey there, this is Pushing 40-Bit. I'm Cynic.
I'm Frosty.
And I'm Klipper.
And the game of the month this month was Mass Effect. We're pretty excited about this one.
Some of us more than others.
That's definitely true. It's a little bit older of a game, so it's definitely dated. It came out in 2007 and was published by BioWare. I'm sure you know BioWare. They've done lots of things. They've done Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Nights, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Jade Empire, Mass Effect, Dragon Age Origins. I mean, you definitely know one of these games. If you don't, you probably are watching the wrong channel.
All the single-player games, all the RPGs.
Yeah.
So this was initially an Xbox exclusive. It was published by Microsoft Game Studios. And I think so 6 months later it came out on PC, and then EA published it, and then from then on EA has published.
Was it like a reward they dangled in front of them, like with Halo? They're like, hey, do a good job and we'll let you release on other platforms.
Possibly. I'm not sure exactly how that went down.
You could absolutely feel the Xbox-ness of it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of, I would say, technical limitations that are apparent that are, it's because it was on Xbox originally. Although the port to PC, they did change quite a few things. Because the Xbox obviously doesn't have a quick bar for all your powers, where you can assign, 8 things.
I didn't.
Did you use powers?
Really? I didn't.
What are powers?
I knew that it was there.
Okay, yeah.
I knew it was there. I just didn't want to do it. I was
Really?
I tried to assign it, and it didn't assign it first. I'm like, screw it, I'm shooting stuff. If it comes hard, then I'll do it. And then I just never ended up having to do it.
Oh, that's funny.
And it was awkward. Like the bindings 1 through 8, that was super awkward.
Why?
Because I'm playing on my side game board, and I don't
Okay.
have numbers over there. And so I had to rebind
okay.
them to whatever the keys are on that sideboard.
Yeah.
So it's like push Q on them. There's no numbers on them, and there's not labeled. So I'm like, Q maybe?
Oh, wow.
You know how sometimes you buy all these extra things to make your life easier, like a
It doesn't
4K
work.
monitor and a sideboard?
Yeah. Or if you're noticing a pattern here, I make my life more difficult. So I think we should come out with confessions first. I didn't finish the game.
Yeah, you should talk about that.
We saw
So
why.
I got about 3.5 hours in, and I had a game-breaking bug where all the enemies were just black squares. I couldn't see who they are, I couldn't see what they were, and it made it unplayable. Now, I looked online, and there is a way to get around it. You can either play on an Intel processor, so anyone who's running a moderately recent AMD, a Ryzen, even some of the Bulldozer architecture, the FX series, you will have this game-breaking bug. So
Wonderful.
know that going in. You can work around it by setting some config options in the INI. We'll put that down in the description in case people want to give it a try. But doing so makes everything look so washed out. It's like you're looking through like a white sheet at the whole game. And
Yes,
so, at 4 hours, I'm like, you know what? I kind of got a good taste of the game. I'm just going to go watch it on YouTube.
I've still got your old original Xbox. I could have returned that, and you could have played it right on.
There's an Xbox One right in there.
So there's my confession. However, I did finish the plot, and I played about 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, so I got a pretty good feel.
Decent side.
I guess, I don't know if this is a confession, but my confession would be that since I chose to be just a complete jerk throughout the game, I basically did 0 side quests and bulldozed through all the missions just along the main line, because every time someone asked for help, I was like, screw you, and just plowed on ahead.
My confession is I did every single thing you can possibly do in this game, which I hadn't done before. And I actually found a whole entire quest line that I had never seen before.
Oh, wow.
It was
Full
interesting.
completionist. So what was the time on full completionist?
I'm not sure. I always forget to look like when it's a Steam game and I've already played it, and so I already have hours logged.
Sure.
And so it was already at like 100-something hours, and I don't know. So this is my 7th time playing it on PC, and I think I played it twice before on Xbox. Something like that.
So
I
some
played it
people
a few
read
times.
holy books. Some people meditate. Frosty plays Mass
Played
Effect.
Mass Effect, yeah.
I'm definitely going to go back and play it because I want to experience more, right? Like, I just saw the main line. I would like to explore some of those other planets.
Yeah.
There were so many planets, and I went to, 4 of them.
Oh, just the main ones?
So,
You didn't
yeah.
do any of the side stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I could count. Let's see, I went to, Eden Prime, the Citadel, Novaria, Artemis Tau, Pharos, and Vermeer. Oh, and Ilos.
Those are just the main ones.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yep.
you didn't
was
see
it.
any side stuff.
See, I made it to the. So I did some of the side quests, like in the Citadel, where it's like, hey,
Yeah.
go get my ashes for my dad, or go get my dad, or something, or brother. I did some a reporter mission where I had to get data for a reporter that was
Okay.
doing a story.
I told her to screw off. She got real mad.
Yeah, so in my playthrough, I thought I'm going to be the plucky hero that everyone loves. So everyone, I'm like, yeah, you're the best, and you did a good job, and your squad all died, but that's okay because you're a winner, right? And everyone loved me, and it was very gratifying.
Yay.
I was nice to exactly one person. His name was Conrad Werner. And
People who play this will remember him fondly.
well, but here's the thing. So, like, he has a wife and a family, and I was all set to be a homewrecker. I never saw him again.
Wait, did you just see him the one time?
Just the one time.
So the one person in the entire galaxy
Okay.
you chose to be nice to, you
I
saw him once.
for one conversation.
Did you go back to that same spot at the Citadel later?
By the time I was back to the Citadel, it was all in flames.
Okay.
So
no, you did not. Okay. Because you do see him 3 times total, I think, if you return to that spot each time.
gotcha.
So there's 3 different
I'll
conversations.
have to play it
you
again
have
so I
with
can
him.
be that homewrecker.
It was funny.
Yeah. I won't say anything.
So
maybe.
just talking about the game and the characters, character development was superb.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb. Like the
I'm glad
writing
you
for the
liked that.
characters and the arc of not arc, but watching the characters actually grow, I found was really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's maybe what we should start with is talking about Shepard himself or herself.
Okay.
So you are Commander Shepard. You're like the leader of a special ops group for the human military. This is set in the far future, 2180 something.
2183.
There we go.
Wow.
Hey.
So you're
That's why I got
basically
my notes, man.
you're basically the leader of SEAL Team 6, if we want to make a comparison.
Okay.
So yeah, which is kind of interesting to start the game with a character that is already established like that. Already there's no, I guess, growth in as far as combat prowess goes in this game. It's all things that are thrown at you, and maybe personality.
So you're alluding to the fact that you don't go through like a basic training or learn to
Exactly.
carry a gun. You're already proficient is your job.
Yes.
But you pick what proficient means, right? And so me being the ruthless character, proficient meant that I was the sole survivor. I basically sacrificed my entire unit to have this glorious battle, and I just didn't care about people.
Right.
That was shocking. You could pick that right out of the gate.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The whole now pick your backstory, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm an orphan that lived on the streets, or I was like the career military man. Like I was like the
Yeah.
cut. Like if you went to a recruiter office, like my picture was on that wall,
Okay.
right?
There we go. And it's interesting that depending on what you pick, people refer to those things throughout the game. And there's even specific side quests that only occur for that background. So
Interesting.
like I was the Earthborn orphan, and so some orphan that you knew as kids comes and approaches you and like is trying to blackmail you basically. But if you're the other backgrounds, you never see that quest.
So if we're the equivalent of SEAL Team 6, could you tell me why my entire teammates were morons? Complete and utter morons.
The AI is not great in this game.
Oh my goodness. I got to the point where I stopped trying with them. I honestly was just like,
Yeah.
hey guys, you're gonna die in this next engagement. But luckily you get resurrected in between each little
Yeah.
part of the game. So I'll just wait for you to come back.
I just found that as long as if I hid behind cover, they would all die. So if I kept popping from cover to cover to cover to cover and they followed behind me, the enemies would largely focus on me rather than just picking off the AI.
Okay.
And there was a tutorial on like how to command your squad mates around.
I didn't like it.
I didn't either.
Yeah, the
Arrow keys to like point them around.
right. I never use that.
Yeah.
Which how are you gonna use your arrow keys? You got WASD and your key and your mouse. Are you gonna
Yeah.
take your hand off your aimer?
Really stretch out that thumb.
Okay, we're
hit
not
it,
playing free space.
right foot it.
Yeah, good carpal tunnel.
And I will have by the time I'm done with this game, I'll have the petted dexterity of a chimp, and you'll look like a moron.
I already do. But I love, like you said, I love Shepard setting his background, and the story kind of twisted around what you picked. That was great. It felt
exactly.
It was a linear game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's nice too that even though Shepard is established military, he still is. I'm going to keep saying he, even though you couldn't play as a female. He's still kind of new to the whole galaxy at large. There's lots of aliens that he's never seen before. Species, places that he's never been to, and so you still, as a player, you still get to experience those things for the first time, as he is also experiencing those things for the first time.
And you could say humanity is new to the galaxy. because humanity, found the ruin on Mars, or the ruins on Mars,
Yes.
and suddenly got catapulted into this galactic alliance and this galactic group. I mean, imagine if we just found something on Mars and all of a sudden, hey, now you're barely spacefaring, you're now in this giant galactic alliance. That'd be shocking.
Yeah, for sure.
The one downside is that I love that like budding stage, and I feel we skipped over the really interesting stage. I would love like a prequel that focused on like pre-Captain Anderson even, right? Like
Yeah.
Captain Anderson was already kind of an established military man in this, but he kind of bridged that gap. I would love to know more about that area of the story.
So you're talking like the Star Trek Enterprise
Yeah.
line.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
here humans have achieved warp, and here's their first foray into the galaxy.
And I
Well,
want it to be voice acted by Scott Bakula.
With the prized beagle. What was his name? Radar? I can't remember. This isn't a Star Trek
I
podcast.
don't remember.
It's been too long.
Admiral Archer's prized beagle.
I never finished
Yeah, yeah,
Enterprise.
I like
I know
that.
people
I
just
did-
flame the crap out of me.
No, I enjoyed it. Okay, Mass Effect.
It's space. We can talk about
His space.
And it was more based on Star Wars than Star Trek, so we're in the wrong.
It's sort of, but it
It felt more
you
Battlestar
have
to me.
you have a clean space feeling. Star Wars always kind of feels almost post-apocalyptic. Things are always kind of
Sure,
grungy
yeah.
and dingy, and you're focused on the rebels. Whereas this is more, there is a galactic government, and things are run fairly well.
Yeah.
There's mostly peace going on. The Citadel especially is very clean looking. The aliens mostly get along. There's not a whole lot of crime going
Because,
on.
spoiler alert, they didn't build it.
Well,
Yes.
and by get along, like there's a harsh class system in this universe, right? Like a harsh class
Yeah.
system.
Racism abounds in the Mass Effect universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
was surprised how much of that there was, and how much it didn't all get addressed by the end. Some of it did, like certain species, it got addressed, but others like, you're just keepers, you're slaves.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Turians pretty much always hate you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Always hate humans.
and I'm like, what did I do? I'm like
Yeah.
the plucky, hey guys, I'm here to help. He's like, you should go die. Oh.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting to see in sci-fi because usually humans are the ones on top, or humanoids, I guess.
Yeah,
If it's
that was fun.
Star Wars, so it's kind of interesting to humanity as a whole is the underdog in
Yeah.
the whole story. Even if Commander Shepard himself maybe isn't an underdog, all
Mm-hmm.
of humanity is. So.
Yeah, for sure.
I
This-
thought it was. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the Solarians were a weird breed, right? Because they were on the council, they're a highly respected race, and yet people are like, oh, we just send those in to die on the front lines. Like they're peons, they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good enough at war, they'll just die. All right, wonder, and I didn't really get good answers there. I'm sure there's more lore
I think
in the stories, but
I think the idea with them is I think they're like the second species to discover the Citadel. And so I think just by de facto of there's been so much time that they're just on the council because
Gotcha.
they were the second ones to be there.
and the Krogans used to be on the council before the genophage, right?
I'm not sure if they were on the council,
Okay.
but there was definitely they have a much larger backstory than
For as big as the galaxy is, it's a pretty small council.
just 3 races.
Yeah,
Just 3 people.
Just 3 people. It's like
Yeah.
you're in charge of everything. Okay.
And they have agents out doing everything, and they still seem to like be able to take a lot of time to just talk to you directly.
Which I
Like-
found is like, hey, your report for your next mission's ready. You want to patch them through? Sure, I'll talk to the supreme leaders of the galaxy.
yeah, that's kind of interesting.
I also thought it was just crazy that these people, this council of highly trained people, they're just like, oh yeah, we'll inhabit this place that we don't really know anything about. We'll just, because the Citadel existed before, they just discovered it. They moved in. There's already things living there. The keepers are living there doing things. They don't seem to want to interact with them, and so they're like, all right, you guys just keep cleaning up
Yeah.
and making things work. We're going to move in.
We don't know
this is
where-
ours now.
We don't know where our food comes from or our air comes from or like why we're able to live here, but
We're
it's
essentially
working.
the
so.
Randy Quaid of the universe, where we just find a nice mansion. Like, I'm just gonna stay here. That cool with everyone. Apology to any Randy Quaid fans.
I don't think
Everyone?
exist.
National treasure.
That's why we had to keep him locked in a nice, safe place.
Nah, there we go.
Protect our treasure.
It was just funny. So the first mission you go down, and it's one of those games where it just thrusts you into the story.
I like
Yeah.
Which is okay. That we've discussed that on the past. You know, you got either your they spoon feed you a little bit as you
Yeah.
go, or the figure it out. And
Yeah.
I love how your one teammate just like runs out and get killed in like the first 12
Immediately.
seconds. I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
And do you notice his name was Jenkins? As in
Oh, I did not.
Leroy Jenkins.
I was happy he died.
Really?
That man was terrifying. You climb into the spaceship, you talk to him, and there's like Dr. Chakwas
Yeah.
or whatever right next to him, and he's terrifying. He is deep in the uncanny valley, right? Whereas like everybody else has a real face at least. He didn't. They were just like, this guy's gonna die. Don't give him a real face. He's got like this weird seam where it changes color from one to the other. He was a freaky dude. And like if you stood right next to him, his face never had light shine on it. Even if you're right next to him and your face is illuminated, his wouldn't, because they knew, they're like, this guy's ugly. Let's just hide him and then kill him.
Yeah. Which I loved how he just walked into a clearing and got shot. I'm like, really? Years of training and that was your first move? And yet I was shot with much worse through the entire game, and my armor just kind of said, it's okay.
Yeah, they kind of make... Someone says, like, those guns ripped right through his shields, but you don't really get an explanation why that happened. If it was like a
red
fluke,
shirts get
or
different
if it's
shields.
just... No, there you go.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Which, how many times did you hear your teammates going, my shields are down? I know. All of our shields are down. Get over it.
Yeah, that's one of the criticisms that I've heard is there are certain things that there are only audio cues for, and every time it happens, the audio cue has to play.
The straight trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, especially since your shields, the bar for your shields is way off to the left on your HUD, and it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And so really it's like supposed to be a visual and an audio thing, and you almost only get the audio.
So technologically in the game, I messed this up. I didn't realize there was a scroll bar on the resolutions. So I played for the first 2 hours at 1280 by 720 in a window on my 4K display, so it was this big. I was like,
I think that's Shepard. No, that's not.
This is a recurring thing where you have to lean closer to your monitor every game you
yeah,
play.
it is. And then I realized, that's a scroll bar. And then I made it 4K, and then my HUD was like tiny again.
Really
so I'm
tiny,
like, here we are again.
Nice.
I also played in 720p until you mentioned that, and then I switched to 1080.
How far into the game were you?
Well, but I was playing full screen, so it didn't really matter. I was 2-3 hours in.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Because there was not an obvious scroll.
Well, so, at least for me, the scroll wheel did not work. I literally had to click on the arrow to get it to go down.
Yeah, I think I did too. And putting it in ultrawide does not work, and it just cuts off the top and the bottom of the screen. The accept and the go back buttons are now hidden. It took me like 10 minutes to figure out how to set the resolution back.
I mean, developers in 2007 didn't predict your
No,
ludicrous
they did not.
monitor that's
They did not.
larger than my wingspan.
Yeah, so I had to play it 1920 by 1080.
Oh, like peasants.
So disappointing. No, it worked out fine.
So yeah, your first mission, there's like the big reveal of the big bad in that very first mission.
Saren?
Yeah, which his introduction, his hi, I'm Saren, I'm the big bad guy, loved it.
And he immediately shoots the other one person that you've been introduced to at this
Nihilus.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, hey, this one character that everyone's kind of tiptoeing around and we don't think we like him, let's just kill him. It's like, okay.
And he's immediately gone.
And so they introduced the big bad, and I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. I mean, visually and the story driven, not visually, but the way the story is concocted, if I can say concocted, beautifully done. That said, I would much rather it have been a movie or a TV show, by far.
Yes,
because
I wouldn't disagree with you.
It didn't feel like a game to me.
You can't choose your own adventure in a movie, though, right? I don't know.
Netflix did. With that one
In 2007,
Black Mirror.
that Black Mirror episode. Okay,
Yeah.
no,
I didn't play it or watch it.
Okay,
but
I'll just
I know
start.
it is.
I'll start the rant now. Let's
Okay.
just get it out of the way.
No,
right?
we can discuss our qualms.
Okay, the elevators needed to go away
Yeah, those were horrible.
forever, and
They're
they
awful.
weren't based on loading. They were a timer.
Or they needed to write way more quippy humor dialogue for it, way more.
Yeah, because there was one maybe per elevator.
And
So
there's
a lot
always
of
a
couples
good...
would have two things that they would say to each other, but they would only do it the one time, right? And then after that, you just would ride.
And
in
even
silence.
within that one elevator ride, there's a good 10 seconds at the beginning
Yeah.
and 10 seconds at the
Yeah.
end where nothing is said, and it's just too long.
And BioWare,
It's a loading scene. We know. You're not fooling anyone.
Those are gone from the other games. So
Okay.
just so you know,
All right.
that was definitely a major complaint, and they definitely fixed it.
I know, and Rob's a developer, or Cynic's a developer. Sorry, and we're gonna get into this, but I'm sure he's gonna say. One of the developers, one of them being said, "Well, what if we made him just ride an elevator
Yeah.
to load the next scene?" And everyone's like, "Genius!"
This was running off of optical media by and large. You got to remember,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I don't care. Give me a loading screen. I'd rather have had a loading screen than just sit awkwardly in an elevator. I hate elevators in real life. Worse so in video games.
At least it
I'm
wasn't
with
like
you,
the
yeah.
Half-Life judder pause, and now you're
take
just
the-
stuck somewhere, and now you're going again.
I'll
right?
take the judder pause. I'll take the judder pause any day of the
a
week.
30-second judder pause.
Okay, But why? Because they
Yeah.
did a timer, right? If
Yeah,
there's a button
sure.
to crop dust the elevator, I probably would have done it. Like,
Well, and I feel like too the problem is, I don't know. You see it more when there are elevators later in the game on the other planets where it does fade out and fade back in. You don't have to actually ride the elevator
Yeah.
for those floors, and it's like, why couldn't this have been a thing for every elevator?
Sure.
and why do a timer base? Just let it load. Because I looked at my CPU, my RAM, my disk. My machine was doing nothing.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm just
yeah, I mean, it
waiting
would
for a
have
timer
been,
to
It would
end.
have been instant.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was that. Shepard ran like there was a stick up his bottom the entire
He
time.
runs a bit funny.
And the sprint key
Doesn't make you sprint.
doesn't make you sprint.
Unless you're fighting.
Unless you're
yeah.
fighting.
In which case, you're Usain Bolt times 10.
Yeah, it's
Which-
way faster than you should.
Which I kept using the sprint key thinking, oh, this will make me go faster. And I'm like, I don't think it is.
No.
And I still used it the whole game.
Yeah,
It's
I
hard
just
to
was
break that
hoping that there
habit.
was like a 0.5% boost that I couldn't quite tell was happening for sure. But
Yeah, I didn't want to.
No, I don't believe there is.
Yeah, and the last and really kind of the biggest one for me is, clunky is my big pet peeve. I didn't feel connected to Shepard at all. Like I felt like I was, and I tweeted this out, sending my instruction to Shepard via carrier pigeon. It's like
Just like the whole game, or just in combat?
in combat.
Okay.
Everything else,
Well-
like the story wheel, okay, that
Okay.
worked. Dialogue
I don't
worked.
know. Sometimes, and maybe it's just because I was choosing the jerk options, but sometimes you would say something that was like really jerky in the story wheel, and then it was like, I'm just going to be overly confident. You're like,
Well,
that's not what I said to say. I said screw off, right? Like,
That's different. That's like I'm not talking like the storyline, because the storyline I thought that the things that were in the selection wheel didn't match what he really said.
Yeah.
in a lot
Yeah.
of cases.
It's often just it's close to the tone that you're gonna say.
Similar,
Yeah.
similar
Yeah.
to tone. But I thought the wheel worked well, and I could do it quickly.
Oh, yeah.
and
No,
I
I
could
liked that
skip,
a lot.
and I can skip if I've already read
Yeah.
it, which I already did, because everyone talks slow in the future,
Yeah.
or I just read fast. I don't know what it is, but I felt like in combat, what I aimed at, I didn't shoot. When I told him to get behind cover, he'd stutter and wait, and then he'd sometimes go. If there was cover that was lower than you were, you had to crouch before you got up to it, and you just didn't go down to it. Now, I was thinking, okay, product of its time. Maybe I'm just being picky. Gears of War was 2006, and they had cover figured out and it worked.
Yeah.
Though I will
It's-
say that the blind fire in Gears of War was way worse than like the accurate peeking around corners and shooting of this one, right? Like you could stay in cover and actually aim, whereas in Gears of War you could like, I don't know, have a quadrant you kind of
Right.
wasted all your bullets in.
And there was auto assist, like aiming assist. I tried it fully on, I tried it fully off. It felt like what I aimed at, I didn't shoot. I kind of shot in the area, and sometimes the bar went down.
I feel like it's way worse with it on.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like I was connected. Like in a lot of games, you click your button, you feel the gun, or you hear the gun, you see your bullet impact something. Like, okay, that felt like that worked, right?
Yeah.
This just didn't feel that for me.
And were you maximizing when in your gun selection? Were you maximizing for accuracy?
Yes, 'cause I
would
was a
lot.
sniper.
Okay.
So I chose the sniper class, and first off, the sniper, like when you're the very first low level of it, and you zoom in, it's like
Yeah.
Shepard's had too much to drink before he's out trying to snipe, right? But I felt so disconnected, and it made me so sad because I wanted to experience this story, and I loved this universe, but it was just glaringly painful.
Yeah. I won't fight any of those. Like it's especially if you have played the second and the third one, which fixes almost all of these problems.
Okay.
It's like a night and day difference between one and then the next game.
Okay.
It's changed quite a bit. But yeah, there are some definitely clunky mechanics in this game.
I didn't mind though, because again, I did feel like the story in the universe was more important, and so all I did was I was like, oh, I'm going to switch it down to casual, right? I'm not enjoying the fact that I'm missing. Oh, down to casual. Now it doesn't matter. I can kind of just tank my way through and enjoy the story.
I think one of the biggest problems I would have with combat is there's no body groups. So there's no headshots, there's no body shots, limb shots. It's all just whether you hit them or not.
Just a big hit box over
yeah,
there. Over the
exactly.
person.
It's my kind of aiming. I always shoot for center mass. I can't break that habit.
So it would be more interesting if there were crit spots and things like that.
Sure.
Which is usually an RPG staple. to
Oh,
have
yeah, absolutely.
Crits, and that doesn't exist in this. So.
And the other thing that really and I actually had to ask you guys over this. I'm like, I know we're not talking about this yet, but I got to ask, why am I putting all these healing points towards Bob, my healer guy, and he never heals? So I'm sitting there in combat going, heal. I put all those points in you. Why aren't you doing this? Oh, I have to do it, and just use the stats from him.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is not made very clear, and I think it took me a few playthroughs to figure that out. That first aid, electronics, and decryption it doesn't matter who in your squad has those, but when you go to use those skills, it'll use whoever has the highest points.
Yeah. Shepard has to do everything.
Yeah.
But you get the stat buff from all your amigos.
Yeah. They only do like attacks, basically.
Yeah. I guess I just felt like I had a plethora of skill points to spend, right? Like I was worried that booking through the story, I wouldn't be able to max out things, and I'd run into things I couldn't decrypt, and I just felt like I always had extra points, and I could max out.
What
pretty much
level did you
everything.
get to?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that number, but like I felt like most of my stats were pretty well maxed out.
Yeah, they give you a lot of points.
Yeah, it
like
seems-
the
it seems
leveling
generous.
happens pretty often.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I did everything, and I was 52, which is pretty crazy for a RPG game. You know, usually like that's like a new game plus thing.
Oh,
You
yeah,
get to 50,
yeah.
like you'll finish the game at 20 or 30 or
Right,
something.
Sure.
but-
I loved the little decryption minigame, the little Tempest looking clone.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. I thought that was great. I was like, oh, this is a fun way to do this.
Yeah, and it feels like it's something you should get sick of, and I never did.
It was quick enough, right? Like,
Yeah.
because either you win it or you don't, right? Like, it wasn't like if it was hard, you're stuck in it for a minute. It's like, oh no, you burned out. Now you got to pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is smart.
Yeah.
There was one though that bugged the crap out of me until I realized what it was. And you probably didn't get this far in the game, but there's like databases that are corrupted, and you have to like slide in and out different things to make them work. I'm like, I don't even understand what I can click on and what I can't click on, and I was trying to figure it out. And then I was like, wait a minute, so there's 3 columns of like 4 or 5 blocks each, right? And I was like, each block just is slightly smaller as you get to the top. I was like, oh, this is an old programming like CS 101 type thing, and it's called Towers of Hanoi. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
oh,
was
yep,
gonna
there we
say,
go. Oh,
that's-
Towers of Hanoi, all
Yeah,
done. Okay.
That's what it's called. That's I think that's in every BioWare game up to this point.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember it being in the other Mass Effects or in Dragon Age, but I know it's in Jade Empire. I think it's in KOTOR. So it's just a thing they think is funny and keep reusing. But
Once I
anyway.
realized it was fine, but like it just was
Yeah.
unclear what I was even trying to do. I was like,
Uh-huh.
what is the goal here?
Yeah, there's that, and then there's the mining laser when you're freeing Liara. Did you remember that one? Is it's almost like Simon or something, where you have to press the
Yeah.
directions,
Yeah,
and it doesn't tell you which one. Anyway,
yeah, I forgot about that one. That one I think was obvious enough to me that I just did it and it was done. Like
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about it, but yeah.
Granted, that didn't make up for the horrible inventory management and equipment menus,
Yes.
but
well, and there's so much loot
Yeah.
in the game, and
Yeah.
almost all of it's worthless.
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
And I'd forget about it. I'd be like, oh, that guy, I gave him a new gun. I forgot to transfer all the ammo and this things. So I have to go add that again. I'm like, well, this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3. Look, thankfully they put numbers on it.
Yeah,
So it was good
yeah.
for me that wasn't too keen on trying to memorize
Yeah,
things.
it's easy to compare stuff.
I was trying to like save it all so that I could sell it. And then my backpack got full, and so I just turned it all into Omnigel, which I wasn't really using because I'm pretty good at Frogger. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to turn it all into Omnigel. But I just ran into so few merchants doing my bulldoze tank way that I just couldn't sell stuff. And so I didn't like buy things because I'd never had any money, really.
There were merchants in the game, huh?
Yeah.
There are. It's.
I never noticed
yeah.
them. I never came across
The
them.
only things that are maybe important to buy are like you can buy Medigel and grenade upgrades for the capacity, so
Gotcha.
you can hold more Medigel, hold more grenades.
The
The other
grenades were
thing I
rad.
saw,
Yeah,
there was
I like the
like
grenade
some
mechanics.
weird like, what was it called? But I remember a merchant had something that was like Normandy Quartermaster Pass.
Oh, yeah,
or something
the
like that. What is-
licenses.
What is that?
So the guy down in the Normandy on the bottom floor, the quartermaster, he will at the beginning of the game he only sells guns from certain manufacturers, guns and armor from certain manufacturers, and if you buy more of those licenses, he'll start to carry stuff from those companies in his inventory.
Like Hyperion and Jacobs.
yeah.
And,
Yes, Maliwan and Torg
yeah.
and
I'm trying to remember all of them.
What's
Yeah.
the one with the D? Why?
Dahl.
Dell. Yeah.
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 Borderlands
so
crossover.
I didn't realize where the quartermaster was because I never talked to him. So.
I love how you're the captain of the ship, yet you talk to none of your crew.
Yep. Or like, well, but I talked to some of them, and it didn't matter. Like, you talked to Navigator Presley. What did that guy do? All he did is when you left, it was like, XO Presley is now in charge.
He had a heavy weight to burden when you were gone.
Yeah, I feel like he, is very underused. And I don't know if I should mention this. But the funny, I don't know if I should mention this. But the funny thing is, he was he dies at the very beginning of Mass Effect 2, and they make a big deal about his death, like
really?
mourning
Even though
his
no one
death,
knows him.
and it's like he wasn't that big a deal. In
Yeah,
Mass
he
Effect
really
1.
wasn't. And I talked to him a bunch. He was one of the few crew members. I was like, oh, I'm going to try to get him to say stuff. And, like, he didn't like aliens. That's about it.
That's his personality. That's the
Fantastic.
extent of it.
There was a lot of that though. The Ashley Williams didn't like aliens. She's like, I don't know how I feel about them on our jewel of our fleet and walking around. I'm like, okay, racist Ashley. Which your family is a dishonorable family in the galaxy.
She has an interesting character arc, I guess.
I don't think she told me that because she hated me so badly. Like, the entire game, she hated me. Like, all of our conversations were, I don't want to talk to you. Go away. Like, she was not happy with it.
There's one that's really funny that's like, she's like, this might not be interesting, and then she tells her story, and the response is, yeah, that wasn't interesting. You shouldn't have told me that.
Yeah, I did all the meanest things. I felt horrible. Some of them were really mean, right? Like, Joker's burying his soul. Like, I have this crippling debility, my legs don't work, I'm going to break, right? I'm just like, suck it up. Like, as long as you do your job, you're fine.
Come on, Seth
Keep it to
Green,
yourself.
fly the plane.
That's right.
Which I called him Seth Green for the first
Yeah.
20 minutes. I'm like, oh, that really is Seth Green.
There's
Oh,
some-
you didn't know?
there's some
Like,
really,
as soon as I heard it, I'm like, oh, that's Seth Green,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
totally-
There's some pretty cool voice acting talent in
Yeah.
this. Seth Green.
What's the guy's name?
Marina Sirtis is
Yep, Marina Sirtis.
from Star Trek.
Counselor
David.
Troy?
Keith David.
Keith David was the Captain Anderson.
Yeah, he's.
I couldn't
like
remember
him
the
a
guy's
lot.
the actor's name. I was like, it's the guy in Riddick. I'm sure that's not
And
everybody's go-to
everything,
for what he
and
is,
he's
but
in-
that's,
he's two characters in Saints Row that makes fun of that he's voicing both the characters.
Which they're releasing Saints Row 3 for the Switch, which is awesome.
Really?
Saints Row on the plane. It's going to be
Oh,
rad.
nice.
Yeah.
how is
Don't let
Nintendo
people-
okay with that? That
Yeah,
blows my mind.
that is kind of.
Listen, hey, Mario! And the dildo bat.
Mario Sluggers is going to come out with a crossover.
the Smash Brothers all of a sudden has Saints characters.
That would be interesting.
Nintendo, if you're watching this, please tell me you are. Do it.
No, but
Of course, Nintendo is
I
watching.
have no
this.
faith that they would ever try to do anything like that. But they put Saints Row on there, so what do I know?
Yeah.
Though I will say, I thought there was a voice actor in there that was not in there. So Annaleus, the admin on the planet, on the ice, Hoth.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember its real
Should
name.
just call it Hoth
Yeah.
for all of us.
Novaria, right?
Yeah.
So admin Annaleus, I thought was Steve Buscemi.
Oh,
But I
really?
looked it up and it wasn't. I was
Oh,
like, how did they
that's
get
too
Steve
bad.
Buscemi? I think that's Steve Buscemi. No, it wasn't.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But you can pretend it is because it kind of sounds like it.
Sure.
Well, that was one of the areas I actually got to play the game was Hoth.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, it's like, I hate the Mako so much. I'm like, I love the Mako.
Oh, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up.
The Mako's wonderful because the turrets are so far away. They shoot that slow rocket. You move 6 inches and pick them off.
Where
with
you
your
hop
basket.
them with the rockets. I would
do that too.
Jump
the
them.
rockets. That was super fun.
The Mako driving on the main missions is fine.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with those ones. It's when you go to the side planets and they are so open and barren, and it'll drop you in the middle of like 3 things, so you can't take a linear path to them. There's giant mountains in between everything that take forever to scale, or you have to drive all the way around them. The jump jets do nothing to help you scale the mountains, because if you use them, it throws you off and then you
Yeah.
fall all the way down. It's just annoying.
So you're saying there's some areas where the decorations were sparse?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like, you know, every area of this entire game, you're in this giant, beautiful citadel, and it's like, there's one couch. Is that all the room you had for on the media?
They're minimalists, man.
Yeah, you got the administrator on Novaria, you know, he's got like one chair, one little data pad, and this giant like 30-foot by 30-foot room. Like,
It's a power play, man.
nice.
Just show it.
Vaulted ceiling,
Yeah.
big open area with
It's like when you like,
furniture.
you know, like when they're trying to sell a house and they stage it to get ready to sell, and they put like
Oh, yeah.
like a little like one chair and one thing. It's like, yeah, you're not fooling anyone.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
get it.
So, on Novaria, there was a person that I felt really bad for. He was a Hanar, one of those jellyfish creatures, right?
The shopkeeper.
He's the shopkeeper.
Okay.
So he wants me to smuggle something in, and the mean option led me to actually doing it. I'm like, oh, look, I'm actually going to do a side quest, right? And I go get the thing, and then he's like, please don't tell the admin. So I go take it to the admin, and then the admin's like, oh, we'll fine him. And then, like, Krogan's like, oh, no, we're going to go, like, kill that dude. And then you go back to him, to the jellyfish, because he's a merchant, right? And I'm like, I wonder if I can still buy stuff. And then he asks you, he's like, oh, did you get my supply? And then the mean option is like, screw you, I turned it in. He's like, does this one realize that you've, like, doomed me and made it very hard? I'm like, yeah, I don't care, right? He's like, this one would like you to leave now. I'm like, what do you got to sell? All right, fine, I'll show you. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got no backbone, literally.
You ruined my life, and well, I do have some good wares to sell.
So is that the way that you got the garage pass to leave the port?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I got it from the assistant that was doing the undercover.
There is a lot. Yeah, you did the very easy, quick way. And you probably did not even know this.
No, I was just being a jerk at every turn.
I murdered a bunch of Novarian guards that were working on the side.
There's a
that's
much more
funny.
complicated thing involving like internal affairs and all these things
That's
going on.
hilarious.
So he never saw the internal affairs thing.
Probably not.
The administrator was never arrested.
Yeah,
Nope.
his secretary is actually an internal affairs.
And I didn't
agent.
even give the administrator the thing, because at the end he's like, okay, well, we'll have to confiscate that. I'm like, no, this is weaponry. I'm keeping it. And so I got to
you
keep
can
it.
do that. Yeah.
I got paid, I kept it, and I got the garage pass.
Okay, so then you did the internal affairs route.
Uh-huh.
You got the evidence.
I did.
And then you just took it back to her?
No, I made the guy testify against...
Okay, right.
Yeah.
You
So
made
this
him
turned into
testify.
like a whole episode of Perry Mason for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it gets interesting. But even though you take the evidence back to her and she gives you the garage pass.
Right.
Okay. The optional part to do that, there's like 5 different ways to do this part. I did everything you did, but then at that point you don't take the evidence back to her, you take it to the administrator and blackmail him with it and make him pay you and give you a garage pass. And then you go take it to her anyway and she still arrests him.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you just totally screw over the administrator.
So when you arrive there, like the very first thing is they want to see your pass and stuff. I just pulled my guns out on them.
Yeah,
and was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
screw off, and they're about to fire, and then they're like, oh, let her through it. It's a Spectre.
Same.
Yeah.
I thought you were trying to be
couldn't
nice.
remember.
No, but
think
the
they
same
still-
thing happens.
I think,
Oh,
yeah,
They still
I
pull
think
guns
same
on me and I
thing.
return
Oh,
mine.
interesting. Okay.
You
But
just
then
say
there's
you're
a-
keeping them? Keeping your guns?
Basically, I say, hey, Scepters keep their guns no matter what. And they say, oh, we just double-checked that, and that's true. Scepters keep their guns.
Yeah.
And then she comes and apologizes to you after, like, hey, sorry for that mix-up. You're like, oh, no worries. Like,
Ours doesn't apologize. She's like, I hope the rest of your stay is less confrontational.
and then you end up murdering
then
her.
it's not.
You end up murdering her up
Oh,
in
I
that
didn't.
in that office. Like, when you're getting the evidence, like, that other person, there's 2 of them there with you.
Oh, yes.
You end up
yes,
murdering
yes.
her.
Yeah.
I didn't
the
do that.
blonde one, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She's the one that's very hostile towards you, even though she knows you're a Spectre.
Yeah.
After the fact, yeah. So she gets hers.
Which, that's a job I'd like. You're a Spectre. You kind of just do what you want. I would love that job.
It was funny when like the 3 supreme chancellors of the world like phone you up and they're like, hey, we'd really appreciate if you'd go, investigate this thing on Vermeer. And I go, screw off. Scepters do what they want.
Even though I answer to you, I'm doing what I want.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we're not going to control you. Just letting you know that that's some intel in case you want to do something with it.
I hung up on them every time, so I didn't even hardly talk to the council.
Well, I never
The
send
rest of the
anything
game.
back. Joker always asks. He's like, do you want me to report back to the council? Nope.
Oh,
Nope,
so
nope.
yeah, same outcome.
That's funny.
It's just that one time that they call you to tell you, like, hey, we have some intel that, like, Saren's over here.
I found it funny. So you know the scenes where you're trying to unlock the vision that you had in your mind, and you
Yeah.
do the mind melds, or whatever the Mass Effect calls a mind
Yeah,
meld.
yeah.
But it's like, open your eyes to eternity, or I can't remember
Embrace
the exact
eternity.
Embrace eternity, right?
Yeah.
But they don't touch you. They just kind of look very longingly at you. It's like, I'm going to link with you now.
That's right.
I'm like, could you please stop? That's
Yeah.
I'm really uncomfortable with this.
I guess since it's not, the physical touch, it's less like, the mind meld, and it's more like the Gefling sharing of dreams from Dark Crystal.
Oh, wow.
I don't know
That's a
that
subtle reference.
There I am having a bath. Anyway, yeah, if you've seen Dark Crystal, you know what I'm talking about.
Right now there's like one person going, hey! And everyone else going,
My favorite movie.
And that's my favorite scene where the Lady Gefling has a bath.
wow, you probably know the time index as well. It's 1 hour, 8 minutes, but who's counting?
Okay then. Should we get to the meat of the plot?
Yeah.
We didn't talk much about the plot.
So let's dive in. I mean, so we start at Eden Prime. We're there to investigate a Prothean relic. That's the beacon, right?
Yeah.
We have the funky vision. Saren kills Nihilus, and we link up with Ashley. Do we want to start there? Because that's kind of hurry fast. And now we're like passed out on the ship. We come to Ashley's now part of our squad, whether or not you like it or not. And I tell her to screw off, but it's not my job because the captain's in charge, right?
Can you tell her not to come when you link up on the Eden Prime?
No.
No. Yeah.
Well, you can say you don't want her there,
Yeah,
but
she'll
come
come.
anyway.
Yeah.
I think Rex is the only one that you can not take with you.
Yeah.
I might be wrong about that.
There definitely was an option that said, no, we don't. Well, you don't have to go get him in the first place, right? Like, you don't have to go down there
I
and get
think
him.
so. Yeah.
I chose to go get him because I was like, I want somebody that has biotics in combat, and that was the guy.
There you go. Yeah, I'm trying to think how much of the plot we should cut out and talk about all of
Well,
it.
every game we've talked about, we've had spoilers the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
So
No,
Well, not just for spoilers, but just for time, because you can get really complicated with everything, but we could also cut out most of the middle of this game that maybe is not necessarily important.
Well, I can keep burning through. So, I mean, we wake up, we go to the Citadel, we accuse Saren, but we fail. We get blamed for destroying the beacon ourselves. We meet up with the Quarian Tali Zora Naraya,
Yes.
who is a Quarian, and
Wow.
she's got the evidence against Saren.
Right.
That also includes Matriarch Benezia.
Yeah.
So we know they're linked up. We finally tell the council, and they're like, oh, crap, I guess you're right. Well, we'll make you a Spectre. And then we get sent to Novaria to go, like, start looking for him, and that's where we had that admin Ananias.
Well, you can pick.
You
which
can pick
planet
that one
you go.
first.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the one I picked first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's, all the corporations are there. You go to Peak 15, and that's where, you have to fight your way through, like, all the...
That's where the
what are they
game
called?
breaks, in case anyone's curious.
You have to fight your way through all the Rachni, which, like,
Yeah.
Saren has been resurrecting, basically. So they were an extinct species of, like, bugs. He's been resurrecting them, and you have to fight your way through that to finally get to the Matriarch, who is under Saren's control and is, like, housing the Queen Rachni. The Queen Rachni speaks through one of the Twi'leks. What are they actually called? Asari.
Sorry.
Right? Speaks through one of the dead Asari
Yeah.
to tell you,
Parasandula.
don't make us go extinct. And then you have a choice, and I totally kill him and make him go extinct again.
Oh,
What did you?
I didn't get that far.
Oh, that's right.
crashed on the
We
way in.
can't ask you that. Huh?
But in the playthrough I watched, they chose to save them.
Okay.
Which considering I was playing the nice guy, I would have saved them a lot.
I saved it too. Just
Which
so
Ashley
I-
Williams scolds you
Yeah.
for that after.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, no scolding here. I'm like,
Yeah,
murder.
certain characters react differently depending on who's in your squad at the moment. So, Yeah.
I also love that there's like tons of people in the game that you can spare, and I spared none of them. I'm like, you help Saren, you don't get to live. Just left and right killing people.
The Asari with the Thorian later.
Yeah, so I mean, there's the Asarian with the Thorian that you can kill. There's another Asarian that's a researcher for Sarian called Rana Thanapti.
Oh, is she
You
the
can kill
one
her.
like his secretary right outside
I think
his
so, yeah.
his office?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then even Fist, the guy that
Oh,
set
right.
up the meeting with Tali and the what's his bucket
Shadow
the
Broker.
Shadow Broker.
Broker, right?
Yeah.
Killed him too. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you're helping Saren.
I brought Rex with me at this point. I don't know if I knew this. If you have Rex with you, since Rex was hired to kill the Shadow Broker, Rex will just kill him.
Nice.
Will just kill Fist without you like saying anything, and so you can like either yell at Rex or be like, "Good shot!" Like, "Great job."
See, I didn't bring Rex with me.
Yeah.
So he wasn't there during that
Oh.
scene.
Yeah.
Rex and Ashley Williams were the only people I had with me all the time.
The
Like,
person that
early
hated
on-
you more than anyone else in the galaxy.
Yes, because she had maxed out combat.
Oh,
She
'cause
was the best one.
So you played engineer?
I was engineer, right?
That's-
So I
that's
had
what I did
maxed
too.
out tech, and so I was like,
Yeah.
I don't need any of these other people because almost everybody has like tech and something else, and so Rex was biotic in combat, and then Ashley was just combat. I was like, yep, you're my A team.
See, I went actually because she was combat, and then Liara because she was full biotic. So I had
Yeah.
one of each in my squad.
So yeah, keeping blazing through the story.
We're blazing good here.
Sure. All right. So next, after Peak 15, I went to Artemis Tau, and the planet is called Therum, where there's the Prothean ruins, and you get Liara, what's her
Yeah.
bucket? Liara Tassani. So she's an Asari who's an archaeologist of the Protheans, and she's the one that helps you embrace eternity when you mind mode.
Which she is the daughter of Matriarch Benezia, but in your playthrough you've already killed her, so you don't have
Correct.
a moment where you bring her to her mother before
No.
she dies.
Nope, cleavage woman died alone.
No, I can't ask you that.
Didn't make it that far, but in the playthrough, yes. In the playthrough I watched.
They did have Liara there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was kind of a cool place, right? You had to use lasers and stuff to, because she's like suspended herself in this weird like net to
Protective
keep her safe
thing.
from all the people that are getting attacked. Then I went to Pharos, which is where the Exogeny Corp is like based out of. There's a big. What did I write there? Oh, no, that's right. There's like a big building complex, and they're under Geth attack. And there's this place called Zoo's Hope, under which is this giant Thorian queen thing. I don't know exactly
Plant
what it
thing?
is.
Yeah, plant, I guess it was.
That you have to like shoot all its nodes. And then all of like the
fine,
colonists or zombies that are attacking you, and people are like, "Oh, please take these gas grenades to just disable these colonists so we can heal them later." I'm like, "Damn you! I saw The Walking Dead. Everyone infected dies. I don't care what level, you're all dead." And at the very end, they thank you, but they're like, they hated me. They're like,
Yeah.
I guess thank you.
See, I killed them all just because that's so much easier to do than actually trying to knock them all out.
Oh yeah, it seemed horrible.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's rough to try.
And
to
it was
Did
against
you
my
do that
principles.
planet then or not? At
Yeah,
all?
that's the one I did.
Okay, you did that first before.
I did that one first.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Cool.
And so I was able to play that part at least, which was nice.
Yeah.
I also murdered everyone because after trying to fumble with those grenades, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
I didn't even try to use a grenade a single
And there's
time.
maybe not too much of a consequence for doing that in this game. That might come back
The
later.
people are real disappointed in you, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
I've gotten used to people being disappointed in me, so life's great.
Now not the doctor, the main security guy there or whatever. Can you not kill him, or do you have to kill him? Because I definitely killed him, but Jong is his name, and
he shoots himself, right?
Yeah.
not in mine. I shot him.
Oh, he shot himself in the one I watched.
When did you shoot him? I feel like he always shoots himself.
So Jong, you like leave them and you go get what's her bucket's daughter, and you come
Yeah.
back with the daughter, and there's like a stand. Like he
Oh,
starts talking
I'm thinking
to
of
you.
someone else.
Okay, and he's just
Honestly,
like,
the same
"Oh,
guy you were.
I found out that
Yeah.
you're this like war criminal because you killed all these people on Torfan and you just let your squad die, and I just shoot him." And all the security guards like go to get their guns, and they're like, "Yeah, we're good."
Okay, I forgot you could actually shoot him. I think I told him like I'm a Spectre, and he's like, "There's no human Spectres." And you're like, "Want to make a bet?" He's like, "Fine."
The conversation didn't get that far.
I really love how like you're a Spectre, but you've got nothing to signify you're a Spectre. You don't have a badge. You don't have anything.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm a Spectre.
You should
Oh,
have
okay.
a nice like cowboy badge.
It's
on
something.
it.
That would definitely
on
be
your-
my excuse. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm a Spectre. There are no human Spectres. I'm the first.
I'm the first.
Just
like,
happened.
just
Real
trust
hush hush.
me.
Keep it quiet or I'll kill you."
It's like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
passed out in a gutter. You're not a Spectre. Like I am too.
Deep cover.
One way to do it.
All right, so
Which-
I did that one. Next, I went to Vermeer, which
Oh, yeah.
is like the beach planet. The Normandy gets grounded there because you have to rescue the people that are there. There's like Captain
There's AA
Kawaki.
guns that are
Yeah.
keeping it. Mm-hmm. You can't fly around. Yeah.
And this is where like Saren has his breeding program for the Krogan. So essentially, he's like somehow fixed the genophage, and Rex is like, "Sweet, this is gonna like save our species." And I tell him, "No, can't do that." And then the meanest option is, try to talk him down or pull your gun on him. So I pull my gun on him. And then there's a shoot him in the face option, or there's intimidate. And I was like, well, the intimidation is still a mean option. I'll try that. And I'm like, you're just a pawn. If you do this, you'll be a tool of Saren's or whatever. And he goes, I guess you're right. And puts away his gun. But he hates you after that.
I was curious how that played out for you, so
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't kill him.
I didn't end
Is
up
that
killing
not,
him.
like can you kill him and
There's
it's over?
that. There's also the option. I think if you take a certain route in the conversations, there's also one to signal Ashley to shoot him,
Oh.
which is I don't know.
Though
just
I will
another-
say, Ashley was like, started to actually kind of like me again after that. She's like, wow, I'm really impressed the way you were able to talk down Rex. Like
Like,
oh,
don't
good.
worry, I still hate you. Oh,
Yeah.
So yeah, Rex can optionally die in this game. But,
Interesting.
yeah, I will say, out of everything that happens in this game, I don't know if we've talked about this, but your save game carries over into the other games.
Oh.
So all your decisions, they will come back.
I
in-
did
in
not know
everything
that.
else.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, okay.
So in Mass Effect 2.
Your
Return of the
I've
jerk face
created a
especially
McGee.
since you did no
complete
side
idiot.
missions, your playthrough might be kind of interesting. That
That's
either things just
weird.
won't show up, or things will not be in a good state. Maybe.
Wow.
That'll be interesting. So anyway,
Commander
so
Shepard, jerk hole of the internet.
I would say
Go.
Rex.
Well, wait till you
has-
hear the way I ended the game.
Rex probably has the biggest impact on the other two games.
Okay.
So whether he lives or dies.
I
would
really
say.
liked Rex, so I was glad I didn't have to kill him. But like, I was committed to choosing the bad option no matter what.
There you go.
Had to
That's
be from the
funny.
bottom of the conversation wheel.
Yeah.
The bottom feeder.
That's right.
So then we get to the best part of the game, the conversation with Sovereign.
Which was rad. Like you mentioned that in I think our very first episode, the mechanical like evil thing. I was like, yeah, it was pretty rad.
Well, I love that they set up until that point that it is a ship.
Yeah.
That when you first see it on
Yeah.
Eden Prime, you see it take off, but then people refer to it as a Geth mothership. And you don't know what Geth are, what their ships look like, so you
Sure.
just assume that that's the case. And then they reinforce that again after Eden Prime because you see Saren and Matriarch Benezia riding inside Sovereign. And so again, you just think that's a ship. You have no reason to think otherwise.
Yeah.
And so I love that twist that it's like, oh, it's not a ship, it's an actual Reaper.
Yeah.
This is a sentient being.
Yeah, it's
And in the conversation, they're talking about, like, that you're all in an ant farm, right? I mean, that's fascinating. It's basically the Matrix architect, right? He's like, oh, no, we just do this. We cycle every now and again, and we harvest you to turn you into a battery.
yeah. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. This cycle's been going on, millions of years. No one has stopped it. You're not going to either.
Which made a lot more sense about the whole Keepers and Citadel thing, right? That, like, this was the ant farm that they had made for you. I was like, okay, that makes way more sense. I was like, this Prothean thing, I'm not buying this. This is a weird plot point. So I was glad that it wasn't just a crap plot point, but was actually a good reveal.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was fan. That little discussion when you're face to face with the song, I was like, that was great.
I
Great
love that
storytelling.
moment. His voice is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't.
awesome.
I've listened to it a few times, just going, "Ooh, that's nice."
And the
I love
translucent red, right?
Yeah.
It was a great scene and all.
Yeah.
Fantastic scene, up there, and one of the best scenes I've seen in a game.
For sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then you have to go.
So next
Oh,
you
you have
go...
to plant the bomb. And then you have the choice.
Choice, who lives and who dies.
Yeah, whether you save Caden or save
Goodbye,
Ashley.
Goodbye, Ashley.
Is it always Caden and Ashley?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Because from the very beginning, I wanted to kill Caden. I was like, oh, I don't care about this guy at all. And so I thought it was just Caden and... Well, I thought it was maybe just somebody in your squad. So Caden, and then you get to pick somebody from your squad. And so the fact that I sent Caden, I was like, oh, yeah, you go. So I wasn't sure it was always Caden.
I like how you send them, and then you have another chance to say, "Are you sure?"
Well, I thought they were pulling a reversal on me. I was like, no, I said Caden, and you're going to kill Ashley now?
Oh, you thought it?
I was pissed.
You thought it was the old Batman thing.
Yeah, I thought it was like, you get to choose one. Ha ha, the other one.
That's funny.
I was furious for about a minute.
I don't know that I've ever saved Caden.
And in
Poor Caden.
and in
don't
Cynic time, a
care for
minute is
him,
like an
yeah.
eternity.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anyone like even the playthrough I watched online. Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
No one wants to kill Ashley.
I don't know.
Caden's worthless. Like, he's got what? He's got biotic and a little bit of tech? Or
Yeah,
I
but
don't
he's
know.
always complaining about his headaches. And
Yeah,
he's
I'm a
just-
level 2 biotic.
He's very
Mine
like
doesn't
kind of
complain at all.
monotone. And,
So in the very first conversation I have with him, I'm like, you don't want to get a reputation for complaining or something like that. And he never complained again.
Oh,
okay then, that's the way to do it.
that's
Yeah.
the way.
Granted, I also never had him near me, other than
You never talk to him again.
yeah. So
That's one way to do it.
I wonder if he's like going up to Joker and he's like, "Do you think Captain hates me?"
I'm sure. Joe Rogan, no.
Hey,
Is that the? Which one is that? The Presley? Which one's the Joe Rogan character?
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
Do they comment on MMA fights?
Probably no. All right.
But I like that there is a moment like that where you do have to choose someone and
Yeah.
they do die. Like it's an impactful moment.
And then can we mention like the fight there? But then it continues later on. So Saren like swoops in on his hoverboard, Green Goblin
Great-
style,
oh!
throwing grenades.
You just took my joke. I was waiting all time to make that joke.
Well, it had to be, right? Like, what else could it? That was definitely the Green Goblin. He's even green and looks like a goblin. Like,
and he's riding the thing.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for a Mark Hamill, like, "Oh, Commander Shepard." That came out like bad Yoda. Sorry, everyone.
It works.
Yeah. The
Same-
Green Goblin,
same
I was like,
canon.
really? Come
yeah,
on.
that was really weird.
Like, and Saren is this badass who, like, looked tough and he came in awesome. And then he flies his hoverboard and I'm like, your hoverboard doesn't run on water unless it's got power.
He is floating over water, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got power.
I've got a pit board now.
Oh goodness. Okay, so after that, you run back to the Citadel.
I
go
do
ahead.
want to explain.
Yeah.
I like his reasoning for supporting Sovereign. I like
I
that
forgot
it's-
that was when he says that.
Yeah, that it's like we don't have a choice. Like this is inevitable that we're all going to die unless we ally with the Reapers.
Well, and we've seen that in a lot of stories where it's like, you know what, we are dead anyway. Let's just try to make the most of it, right? I mean, that's a common trope in a lot of media
Sure,
that we've seen.
yeah.
And it worked. It worked fantastically.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, the bad guy's doing the bad things, but maybe for the right reasons, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a complication on top of that is he is also indoctrinated.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it started out that was his reasoning, but then he is like fully like in and can't fight it anymore.
Now, I never really understood the indoctrination thing. Like, it's not magic. There's some technology, but
Yeah,
do we know
they
what
kind
it
of
is?
talk about on Eden Prime how they heard a noise that seemed to be coming from inside their skull. And I think some of the people, like if you go talk to did you talk to the Solarian prisoners on Vermeer?
No.
Okay, so they talk about that too. And like there's two of them. There's one that he says he was kept as a control and they didn't do the experiments to him.
Oh,
And
interesting.
the other ones talk about, or the other one is just completely lost his mind. Like he can't even think for himself anymore.
He's the one who says, let me out, let me out, let me out. And then he turns on you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so they kind of talk about that. Yeah, there's like a sound or a signal being emitted from the ship that makes you follow Saren. But then it turns out that it's not making you follow Saren. It's making you follow Sovereign. It's making
Sure.
you
Yeah.
follow the Reaper.
And Saren's just also listening to the
Yeah.
siren song.
Don't
And he was
fear
worried
the
that,
Reaper.
yeah, he was worried that his proximity to the ship was also indoctrinating him. And yeah, that gets fleshed out a little bit more in the other games.
Okay.
Especially Andromeda.
No,
Sorry.
no, not at all. Well, maybe there's one little side mission, but
Holy cow, you
Not-
know that?
not important.
I was just making the joke that Andromeda flopped, really.
sorry. I take this very seriously.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good canon, right? Like, I mean, it's as much as like I love Star Trek or Star Wars because I was raised with it as a kid, right? And you know, so all the lore flows in. You're like, oh, that's really really cool, right? Like Mass Effect. If I really had time to absorb it all, it is a massive amount of lore.
The world building in this is fantastic. Like,
And the
top
story
notch.
writing, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's why it should be a Star Wars or a book
Yeah.
or a movie or a TV show.
I like it where it is, right? I mean, it's like Skyrim, but without me having to read all the books at the Bard's College.
Oh. I remember the very first time I played like Medivia. That was the first, like not the first one, but that was like the first 3D one that we really got into. And I like read a book, and I got like on page 20 of this book. I'm like, is that what this game is?
Reading.
Is this Mavis Beacon teaches reading in a mythical setting? And I'm a cat.
I assumed that you didn't have to read books in video games because it's video games, right? And so when I played Myst, which was like one of the first big video games I played, I was like, oh, I'll just skip these books. And you can't beat it unless you read the books.
Oh, really?
I was like
They
brute
make you
forcing
do-
numbers and stuff that were just written on pages I didn't ever look at.
Oh, that's interesting. So did you read any of the Codex stuff in this?
No, I saw
a little
Kodak
bit.
updated, and I went neat.
I saw some of the
Yeah.
original stuff. I found out I was 29. That was useful. I found out a little
don't
bit about the
remember that.
Citadel. Yeah, well, because it
Yeah.
says you were born in 2149, or no,
Okay.
2154, and now it's 2183. I was like, oh, 29. Because if I was 30, that would be gross.
Cynic does math.
I couldn't. I was trying to think of that the other day. How old Shepard was, and I meant to look it up, and I forgot to.
29. There you
There we
go.
go. Yeah, I think I read it back in the day, like a lot of stuff, because there's a ton of it. It's constantly getting updated.
Yeah.
There's constantly new things being added to it, but I didn't read it all this time.
I started reading some, and if I'd been playing it myself, I definitely would have read it. But the fact that I was like recording it for people to view it, I was like, I don't want to make you watch me read.
Yeah.
Clumsily.
That's
I don't
probably-
read out loud that well
probably
anyway.
smart.
I get to see Cynic's like, welcome for another popping on a bubble pipe day of reading the books of the Mass Effect.
There's
This
some
is-
interesting stuff in there. Like I really like how they made all the technology and stuff functional and believable. Like there's some cool backstory to a lot of that stuff and how.
Oh yeah, I
things
forgot
came
I was
about.
going to bring that up. The whole Element Zero thing, does that get fleshed out very much? So Element Zero, all I know from my tank through gameplay was that it somehow negates mass, which is what allows the Mass Effect relays to like shoot you out insanely fast. But
That's pretty much it. Like the
Okay.
Prothean ruins, I don't know why. I guess it's just not a thing that exists naturally on Earth, and so humans never discovered it until they found the Prothean ruins, and that talked about Element Zero, and just how to manipulate Element Zero to make it do Mass Effect fields, I guess. And so, but yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is in the codex that you don't necessarily get through just gameplay. Even all the side missions, I don't think anything really goes too deep into it.
I would also be fascinated to know more about the whole Mars thing, right? Because the Protheans have been extinct for about 50,000 years. So that means they were on Mars when we were like functional hominids, right?
Right.
Like,
Speaking of that,
is that later on? All right.
no, there's a really weird side mission. So did you do the consort on the Citadel at the very beginning?
I don't even know what the word consort means.
She's
You
an
remember
Asari lady.
Firefly? The companion.
That basically is exactly what it is.
No,
she,
I did not do a mission.
She may sleep with you, or she may just talk to you and give you advice, or be like a
Or comb your-
Opportunity lost.
or just brush your hair, right?
Or brush your hair.
She might do that too. Anyway, she gives you this little trinket, and most people probably never even know what that's used for. There's one little side mission where there's this like floating metallic orb, and you go plug the little trinket in, and it gives you a vision. But it's only told through text. You don't get an actual vision, so it's kind of disappointing. But anyway, what it is you are a caveman, and a Prothean is studying you.
Oh, interesting.
So
All right.
yes, the idea is that they had a base on Mars, and they were watching primitive humans.
And did they take you up into their spaceship?
They do at the end of the vision.
They do
yeah,
things.
they do take you.
Sweet. All right.
So we're almost to the.
As far as
showdown.
me, I only went to one more place, right? So we go back to the Citadel
That's all that's left
quickly
if you don't do side missions.
and go to Ilos. On Ilos, we get dropped in the Mako, like super close to the door,
like a
which gets
barn
shut in
swallow
our
from
face.
Firefly.
Yeah.
And then eventually
Yes.
we get through the door, and you start doing the Death Star trench run,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep ambushing you from the sides, and then you get Qui-Gon Jinn trapped between two
Right.
force fields. And then you go talk to another AI. Real quick, there's several AIs, right? In the Citadel, there's Avina. In Peak 15, there's Mira. In the Exogeny place, there's VI. And now the Prothean one that we're about to talk to is Vigil. But they're all kind of variations on a theme.
Those are all virtual intelligences.
Oh,
There's only
I
a few
apologize.
artificial
You're-
intelligences
you're-
in the game.
Oh my.
You're absolutely right.
Flavin.
He's right, though. Oh, and I should have not made that mistake. I know better. I've been shamed.
Yeah, all good.
Which I thought it was funny how you could be a jerk to that one. It's like, wait, you let everyone die, you piece of crap.
Yeah.
Which is what I told him.
But his conversation is interesting because it's like a stark contrast to the conversation with Sovereign. That
Yeah.
Now you're getting the full story of why things are actually happening now in this cycle that haven't happened in past cycles. That the Protheans sabotage the Keepers, sabotage the Citadel.
Yeah, so that's how they haven't just showed up already.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, why Sovereign has to go sneaking around and can't just like full on fight everyone.
I was surprised that we didn't wake up any of the Protheans that are in cryo about to die.
I
with
think they
failing
say they're
life
all
support.
dead.
They
Oh, I
ran
thought
out
you
of
said there was a
point.
couple left. No.
No.
I think they ran out of energy
Yeah,
for
it's
all of
been
them.
so long now that
Oh, okay.
he's the only thing running on the planet.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Which was kind of sad because I'm like, man, one of those would be super helpful right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll get rid of Ashley, I'll get rid of everyone else, I'll just take one of them.
We may see more of Protheans later.
Oh my goodness, it's like a constant foreshadowing episode.
But anyway, Vigil tells you to go ahead and go through the conduit. The conduit's a back door to the Citadel. You go to the Citadel. Citadel's in flames, and then you get dressed. Oh, go ahead.
Ironic that those are the only two Mass Effect relays that the Protheans actually built.
Oh, really?
That all the rest were actually built by Reapers. So,
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Good to know. All
So
right.
back to the Burning
Doesn't matter.
Citadel.
So you get to the
Citadel's
burning
burning.
Citadel, and then you get dressed up nice, and Jane takes you someplace special, Vera.
Yeah.
You go on the outside of the ship, and you get to have some really awesome battles.
I love that moment.
That was
when
cool.
The elevator gets stuck, and now you have
He's
to
got-
walk on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mag boot style.
Very cool, like visually, and just like an interesting place to have a level. Like,
Yeah.
you
A
know,
lot of Firefly references this episode.
we're okay with that.
Well, I mean, this was kind of, I don't know, I guess it was high-tech cowboys in space, but there were some low-tech type moments, right? When
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, it comes and goes. But yeah, it was a good one. And then you fight your way all the way to the end of the Citadel where you fight Saren.
And then you fight him again. Why? Can anyone explain that to me?
So, my theory, I haven't ever found anything to back this up. Like, I actually looked on the wiki to see if I can find this, and I didn't see anything. But I believe there was supposed to be multiple character models for Saren. That at the beginning of the game, he is not supposed to have all the tubes and all the cybernetic implants at the beginning. And it's supposed to be a gradual thing over the course of the game. Because at the end, he makes a point to say, like, Sovereign has upgraded me. And it's like, you've looked this way the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't necessarily make sense. Especially when at the very beginning, when you're accusing him in front of the Citadel, you're like, this guy's working with the Geth. And he's like, no, I'm not. Just ignore the fact that I look like one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
He's a
got
spender. He
he's got
gets
all
to
the
do what he
wires and
wants.
stuff hooked into him. Like, he obviously looks guilty.
I just thought maybe Turians, that was like a thing, right? Like some Turians have
yeah,
wires
I
coming
think
out.
I think they're trying to hide it, but I don't know if that's true. I might be wrong.
So you fight him twice for inexplicable reasons.
Because
Yeah.
they didn't double tap him.
Well, he dies and Sovereign reanimates what's left,
Oh,
just
okay.
the cybernetics, but
Okay,
not necessarily
Still,
important. I guess.
double tap him enough and his body wouldn't work.
that's
right?
true. So you kill him, then you kill him again.
Yes, which at this point there's also a giant space battle
Yeah.
going on outside the Citadel, which
And you
looks
can
fantastic.
And you can
It's
say,
awesome.
let's save the council or let's save the humanity.
I'm guessing you killed the council.
Yeah, I killed the council.
I did too, but
In the playthrough I watched, they save the council.
okay. Either way, humanity shows up, led by Joker, and they start railing on Sovereign, and he's not really taking any damage until you kill this reanimated Saren, and then his shields go away for some reason.
Yeah, that was kind of a...
He gives up hope. He's sad now. I don't know.
She's lost the will to
yeah.
live.
That part's always felt really weak to me. I think if this was a movie, that whole part would be rewritten because it's mostly just to be in the game so that you as a player have something to do at the end and that there is a boss battle, even though Sovereign is the real big bad guy,
Right.
but you can't just take him on as an infantry.
Yeah,
Like,
what are you going to do?
yeah, that doesn't do anything. So I think if this was a movie, the space battle would be the climax of the movie. Like,
Well, and then they have like the longest gap I've ever seen where they try to fake you out and be like, you're dead. Oh, you're totally dead. You got crushed by the spaceship. Yep, see, you're definitely dead. Everyone's walking away. You're dead now. Oh, still walking away. Oh, there you are, you scamp.
It seriously felt like Ghostbusters. You know the scene where they all fall in the trench, or not the trench, but fall in when the cement opens up in the original Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
And then they all like just slowly
Okay.
crawl out. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's alive. It's like,
one by one by
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
By one,
To
They do
the
kinda
cheering
drag
of Ron
that.
Jeremy. Did Ron Jeremy make a cameo in this one too?
I think he did. I can't remember though.
Maybe. I don't know.
So yeah,
There's no fat people in this game.
yeah, there's no fat people in the future. That's interesting.
It's because they
There's no fat
they're all
people in most
vaccinated
video
except for
games.
that one lady's kids who were looking.
Oh yeah. So how long did you spend? Sorry, jump back way back. How long did you spend in the strip club?
So I engaged with one. They have you sit down and you can lean forward and you can relax and
Oh,
watch the
yeah,
show. And I was
right,
like,
you can
all
lean
right, I'm done.
forward.
What was the lean forward, lean back? I was like,
Yeah, I was like, what's gonna happen here?
I was like, oh, I'm just leaning.
Yeah, I leaned forward and I relaxed once and then I was done.
I just like the patron that is watching one. You try to talk to him, he's like, "What? Go away!
Yeah, he's
Like,
like,
what are you doing?"
A little bit. He's like, hey, excuse me, I'm Commander Shepard.
That's great. So, I guess the final question then is, what do you do? Your final choices.
So what happens? Like, if you kill the council, I don't know what happens.
So if you kill the council,
Oh.
then they're devoid of leadership, and so basically you have three options. There's like you can first you have to say you can make a new council or humans should be in charge, right? And I say we humans should be in charge because I'm a jerk. And then there's three options, and the order they put them in is like take over yourself, Captain Anderson, or what's
Udina.
his bucket name? Yeah, Ambassador
ambassador guy?
Udina, right?
Yeah.
The
Who is a pain in the butt?
power, Udina, right?
Yeah.
Like he's
He
so
was so annoying.
He's
He yells
ugly
all
and
game
irritating,
long.
right? And I was
Yeah.
like, really? How is me not being dictator of the universe the bottom mean option? And so I went ahead and made Udina the stupid chancellor.
It doesn't really matter.
I felt like Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, you just jar jarred this entire game.
I think on that choice, whichever one you choose, there's still an alien council, and
Oh.
Udina is the human ambassador.
All right, well, good, because I hated
Well, not
that
ambassador,
prick.
human council.
He was the worst.
Yeah.
He was always know your role, Shepard. I'm a smart, important man.
And to call back to Scott Bakula, really, he should be a hologram informing Scott Bakula what to do, and that's all that guy should ever do.
That is true.
Awesome.
He looked like that dude. Yeah. And they gave him like the worst skin in the whole game. I mean, it was like rivaling Battlestar Galactica Captain.
Battlestar Galactica. I really hope you made that up because that is amazing.
I didn't just only make it up. I Freudian slipped it.
Really?
I didn't even mean to say it that way.
Wow.
Wow, Crater Face himself. Okay.
Ouch. So sad.
Hey man, he made a lot of money, so
He did.
that's fine.
And the president landed on her feet. Not the president's wife. From Independence Day.
Oh, I thought you were still in Battlestar Galactica.
So I know.
I was like,
but I get mildly
school
convinced.
teacher's the president now?
Yeah,
I get the
sorry.
connection.
I really
I
never
forgot. I forgot that she's in Independence Day. A bunch of the Battlestar Galactica voice actors are in 2 and 3.
Oh,
I
cool.
think they were heavily into the show and liked it a lot, especially since AI is a major theme of this, as it is Battlestar Galactica. So cool.
So how did it end for you? Killed the humans, and so, or you killed the council. So who
I
did
killed
you
the
put in charge?
council. I put Anderson in charge, and then so it's like everyone's like, yeah, we need to have a military now because the Reapers are coming. So he's a great choice.
I would have much rather had him in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had the playthrough I watched had the council live, and then you can elect either supreme power or
to join the council.
Yeah.
Got it.
I believe whichever choice you make doesn't matter, except that if the council is dead, it's a new council, but still those same 3 races. So they just have different voice actors for the next 2 games.
There you go.
That's funny.
Oh no.
Oh, there was one other reference I had to make.
Yes, please.
Because I haven't made enough references today. So the Solarians, right? They're, especially when you finally go to Vermeer and they're sitting there trying to protect stuff, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go die on the front lines," right? Okay. Not only do they look like that race in Falling Skies, you remember Cochise in Falling Skies?
Yeah.
Look so much like him.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, we're gonna go die for honor here. So
I did like the scamps, like going off. It's like, we can fight. We some good bomba. We throw bomba.
I didn't watch Flying Skies. I wanted to, but it was
Underwhelming.
the first season was great. Second season was okay. Third season was not so good. Yeah, it's the typical story arch of.
If I want to be like it's like that tale as old as time from like Beauty and the Beast. Well, we're doing Disney references now.
Wow.
But it's like, hey, here, Game of Thrones.
Angela Lansbury is timeless.
She is. Game of Thrones, Battlestar Galactica, all these other things that are horrible after a few seasons.
Sure.
Sad.
All right, there was a couple others I wanted to mention at least. So we've got a whole bunch of alien races, right? We've got the main 3, the Asarian, the Solarian, the Turians. We've got the Krogans, who would have been one of the main ones, except for they got neutered. We got the Quarians, who I don't really understand why they're a minor race, but they make the Geth.
Yeah, so long before this happened, they created the Geth just as servants.
Oh, and then it went off crazy.
And then they rebelled,
Got
which they expelled the Quarians from their home planet. So the Quarians they have a migrant fleet. It's just a whole bunch of ships, and they just fly around the galaxy.
Gotcha.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
I knew they were nomadic, but I didn't really understand why. Okay. So we got the Keepers that even at the end we really don't understand, other than that they just must be, belong to the Reapers, I guess.
Yeah, I think Vigil states that they were probably one of the original races that the Reapers wiped out. And then they used them just Reaperified them. And
Yeah, they're all
controlled
just
them.
like
So they're
completely
all
indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was funny. There was a side mission in the Citadel, very short, like to scan them, and you're supposed to like leave them alone. Like that was like a law. It's like leave them alone.
It's a lot, yeah.
I tried to bug them.
I was scanning
Like
them.
them.
I tried to
They
pull out
look
my
like
gun and
bugs.
shoot him, and I don't think he would even let me shoot him or anything.
Yeah, I
so
don't think you can.
I tried to get arrested.
Nice.
Did you make sure to hold down spacebar and then click on the weapon you wanted to switch to, so then it'd do this giant animation to pull a gun out?
All I ever had to do was Q because I only used the pistol.
Well,
If you're an engineer, you only get you have the other guns, but you can only effectively
I love
use
being
the
able to
pistol.
carry all those guns the entire game and having them not work.
It's disappointing.
That was
yeah.
super
You
neat.
can throw them at the bad guys.
Why can't you just drop them? Like, why do I have to carry them?
Yeah, it's a really strange. I don't know why they did that.
Well, so I mean, it is kind of nice because it doesn't take up an inventory slot in your backpack, right? So you can you can equip a nice gun, and then later you can give it to a teammate or something, right? So you can use yourself like the mule from Skyrim, right? Like
To hold 2 things extra.
it's right, very important.
I liked how they like mounted like back like this, and your pistol was across your bum.
Yeah.
It's like
All right, and then we had the Hanar. Those are the jellyfish ones,
Mm-hmm.
which seem to be spiritual, and you
They
get to
are,
make fun
yeah.
of them. You can be like, oh, they're just big stupid
With-
jellyfishes.
They basically worship the Protheans. They call
Uh-huh.
them the Enkindlers, I think. That they basically worship the Protheans. That the Protheans gave them their technology, I guess, because I think they also discovered Prothean ruins and discovered Mass Effect through that.
So I love that there was one preaching illegally, and there's like a guy, right? So you come up and they're like, "Oh, are you going to help me, or did this, guard just recruit help?" And so I'm like, "Screw off! You can't preach here, right?" And then the guard's like, "Thanks." I'm like, "Screw off! You should be able to handle this problem on your own." He's like, "I didn't even ask for your help in the first place." And I just
Yeah.
go on my merry way. I was like, "Man, this is great story options that they just put in here
The
for people like
renegade
me."
choices are far funnier.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, they were
throughout the
great.
game. Yeah, there's some pretty funny moments.
All right, so there's a few other aliens that I'm curious about. So the Volus. The Volus basically run casinos and are merchants and are like money launderers.
Yeah,
The Ferengi.
Why? What are they? Like,
yeah, that's just their thing. I don't think you ever see inside their suits or know what they actually look like.
I just assumed that it was the Pyro from TF2.
Not sure.
I literally assumed Ferengi. And they shaved the Latinum.
That's a good, good equivalent.
All right. And then we've got, obviously, we know the Reapers, we know the Geth now, we know the Protheans are extinct, we've got the AI, we got the Rocky that were those insect things, and then the Elcor.
Rakai, yeah.
Oh, Rakai is what it is?
Rachni.
Rachni, that thing. Sorry. I can't read my own writing. I tried to condense it all into one page.
You're good.
So the Elcor, they're like the big blobby Vogons that speak really slowly.
The four-legged guys.
Yeah. What are they? Like, I interacted with one of them who asked me to do a
There's-
side quest that I was like, screw you. And
There's not very many of them around.
All right.
They're just funny because they have to state their intended tone before they speak because they are so monotone
Yeah.
that you wouldn't get that from how they say. And so that you can ask them like, "What's up with your speech patterns?" And that's how he explains it. That my race just speaks monotone, and so we like to say what we mean before so people don't get offended.
Interesting.
Man, could we get that in English? I'd love that. Sarcasm.
Yeah, sarcastic response.
That would be great.
I like them.
So, I mean, there were a ton of aliens in general, which I thought was cool, and it really did add to the lore, I thought.
Which is, I think that's one of the reasons that they do after that first mission, they drop you on the Citadel, is so you see all these species and see kind of how the galaxy works and how everything kind of interacts with each other, and you learn about so much of the stuff right at the beginning of the game, and then the real part of the game starts after that, where you actually get your own ship and go traversing around the universe.
And bless the mass transit system so you don't have to ride elevators.
And
For
did
sure.
you try the casinos? Did you go into the casino in the Citadel?
I didn't.
So the casino has one game. I can't remember what it's called.
Quasar.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Sabak.
And it's basically kind of like 21, but like it has weird random things. And so like I did the math on it because it's like 3 to 7 or 1 to 8, something like that, right? And so if you want a low number, you have to do 1 to 8 because in general the median's going to be lower than the 3 to 7 number. But like it was just really random. Like at least with 21, there's a little bit more skill because there's a broader scope of numbers that can happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt weird.
Yeah, and it doesn't give you that much money.
Yeah.
And there's so much money in the rest of the game that
I didn't use the money. I didn't buy anything.
And you
I don't
hardly
think.
buy anything. So
I don't think I bought anything.
I bought the grenade and the Metagel upgrades and all the licenses, even though I never really used them. I think a few times actually I might have bought, like the first time you get Spectre gear and you go to the requisition officer, I think those guns are like way better than anything you have at the moment. Then the rest of the game, it's comparable. Stuff you just loot, so there's not a whole lot of reason to use all the money.
Cool. Well, I think that's all I had. You guys get anything else?
There was one thing I want to talk about.
You and your digital notes. I'm analog.
I know. Oh,
It's all up here.
there we go.
And it was mostly me going, ugh.
Oh, did you guys see Cerberus? If I say the name Cerberus, do you even know what that is?
Wasn't the thing I said.
Three-headed dog.
Yeah,
of
it's
hell?
it's only side missions. They're basically you learn that they're like a rogue arm or a what do you call it? Black Ops group, part of the Alliance, the Human Alliance, and they've gone rogue. And they're doing all these experiments around, and so there's some missions. The one mission in the game that I didn't know existed involved Rachni, that they took some Rachni off of Vermeer and took it to another planet to like do experience on them, and they got loose, of course, and killed all the people. So then you have to kill them. Anyway, Cerberus makes they're like big in the next 2 games. So I was curious if you guys even saw them. I don't think you need to know that they exist to start the next games, but if you've never heard of them, it might be kind of like, what? I don't know what this is. That's probably good. We talked about the keepers, didn't we? Then I had...
So you scanned them all. What happens when you scan them all? Do you get extra information about them, or is it just money and experience?
No, it's just money and experiments.
Okay.
Experience, yeah. You don't learn anything. You kind of forget about them until you talk to Vigil at the very end, which I think is probably the intention, that you're not supposed to remember that those things are on the Keeper running things. On the Citadel, I mean. Did we talk about all the choices? We talked about the port, the peak, the Arachnite Queen, whether Rex lived or died, and whether the council died or not.
That was a super scary moment for me. I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to kill him. I was not happy about having to choose bad choices.
Yeah, that's all the main things. I probably just kind of wanted to say, I last played this right before Mass Effect Andromeda came out. I replayed the whole series, 1, 2, and 3. So this was like the tail end of 2016, I think, so a few years ago. I decided that was going to be the last time I played Mass Effect 1. Like,
really?
Yeah, I was like, it's too clunky.
But then you were jonesing.
I know the story. Not necessarily. Like, not to play the 1 because I knew what was going to happen.
Sure.
Because there were some very clunky things. But from the very moment that, I loaded up and that menu music starts, I was just like, oh, I love the music. I love everything. Like, I was on board and ready to play. And I hadn't initially planned to do everything in the game, and I just got sucked in. And I was like, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to try to find things that I haven't ever seen and actually do everything.
So as we answer our question that we always do, is it worth playing in 2019?
So again, for me, it's always about the who, right? Like, if you're someone that's okay with older graphics, and if you are someone that's story-driven and you want the detail that's there, that's definitely for you. If you're just wanting a ride and an experience, it's probably not for you. If you're wanting a shooter, it's probably not for you. If you're wanting, eye candy, it's probably not for you, right? But if you really just want a deep, detailed story and nice choices, I think it's for you. And even RPG, the RPG elements were there, but they were very basic, right? And I don't think that's going to draw you in, right? So if you're a big RPG guy, that's not going to be your boat.
Yeah, I think for me, the strong thing about this series is being able to carry your save in through all 3 games.
I didn't even know that blows my mind.
Surprise.
I feel way worse now about having chosen terrible things.
Do other games do that? Like, I know Dragon Age does that, but that's another Bioware game.
Telltale.
Sometimes
Telltale
you'll get.
games do that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But that's just between each episode, right? And they all.
Well, like, they don't carry on from, like, Walking Dead to Back to the Future.
Right.
But all through the Walking Dead series, you're
Oh, and there's multiple Walking Dead games? Okay.
There's like episode 1, 2, 3.
Okay. That's cool.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes you'll get, like, an outfit from another one, or...
Yeah, there's things
but
like
actually
that.
having the plot derived from previous choices, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's...
And it's maybe not, like, completely as impactful as you would hope it would be.
Sure.
But there are, like, a lot of little things, and especially like Rex, as I said, is a big one, that if he's dead, it's a completely different thing. And
So what do you do if you don't play 1? What if you just picked up 2?
It either just that thing doesn't show up, or there is like a canon starting point, and in the canon, Rex is dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the only way to actually have him in Mass Effect 2 is if you carry in a save where he lived.
That's
which is
interesting.
pretty sad, because it's a big deal to have him still alive.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the council is dead or not in the canon answer. But anyway,
it's going to get bought in a few years, and they're going to just declare that old legacy, and that's not canon, and they're going to do a new canon.
Disney's buying Mass Effect?
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks.
Hey, if they make a movie out of it, I'm on board.
So I'm going to answer my own question here. Is it worth playing in 2019? No. I'm going to say no. Here's why. There's some fantastic YouTubers out there who have shown every cutscene, shown all of the options. You get to experience the whole story and deal with none of the clunk. And actually, I enjoyed it so much more than playing it.
But there's no investment in that, right? Like, there's no risk there if you're choosing the option, right? Like, when I was about to kill Rex, Like, I was freaking out that I was going to have to kill him. If I
like
know that
that.
I'm just going to watch every possible option that exists, right? Like, there's no investment there for
Yeah.
me.
See, the very first time that I played this, I didn't put enough points into Intimidate because I didn't know that was actually going to be a big thing. And so Rex had to die. Like, I didn't have another choice. I didn't have the choice to save him. And I was so mad. So I was like, I have to replay this game and, like, get the choice. But I also, that is another thing that I do love about this game is you can replay it and find so many things that you didn't see the first time. If you if you go Paragon, if you were Renegade the first time, if you play female, if you were male the first time, if you do a different class, there's so much to see that even, me having played 8 times, like, I'm still discovering new things.
And because I never found Conrad Werner again, I never got any sexy time.
That's true.
Did you, because I'm curious if he will die if you're mean to him.
Really?
Yeah, but the only way that you find that out is through a news story while you're riding an elevator. And if you take the fast travel, you would never hear the news story. So I'm curious if you only talk to him the one time and you were nice to him, I wonder if he dies or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to play Mass Effect 2, and if he shows up, then you'll know that he lived.
The question I wanted to ask is, Matt, you say Mass Effect 2 and 3 fix a lot of what's wrong with Mass
So
Effect
much
1.
of it, yeah. It's night and day difference.
If I went in, and you know how I play, if I went and started playing
4K, sideboard.
2, would I enjoy it if I went and played 2?
You can play, like, if you fire it up and play the first, like, intro mission, it's kind of sort of like an Eden Prime type deal where you are in combat. If you don't like that, then you'll know, I think.
Okay.
That's fair. Yeah, if you realize, oh yes, I like this combat so much better. The only thing that really carries over from the first is the conversation wheel. The combat's completely different. The inventory is completely different.
The lore is...
Well, yeah,
is
the
a
lore of the
huge
story.
piece
We're
of
talking
for sure.
gameplay,
At all.
right?
Yeah, but gameplay-wise,
Now, here's the other thing.
there's no driving sections.
If they would have made the
I
game,
like that.
if they would have made this game turn-based combat, I would have loved it.
I'd be out.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like turn-based.
I don't either.
I don't.
But the story was good enough.
I guess that's true.
The story was good enough.
it
I would
might
have
have held me
suffered
in.
through the turn-based combat, and the turn-based combat would have been more gratifying because it's like, okay, that, and I don't deal with clunk. I just get to experience the story and enjoy the dialogue.
I would be fine with it if there would have been probably less combat overall, especially if you're doing all the side missions, because that's so much combat. If
It just felt like
it would be a ton.
It felt like the game they wanted to make was like this big old giant space opera, and a shooter, and an RPG,
Sure, yeah.
and they tried way too much in this one
It's
game.
very ambitious.
I said, just pick one thing and do it excellent.
Mm-hmm.
If they just would have had the story and a little bit of like gameplay, like I mean, the Rist or Myst or Riven, those games, no combat, just
Sure.
puzzles,
Yep.
clicking around, all that.
And
Telltale,
yeah.
very small action, but the stories are rich and enveloping, right?
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of right. And we all know Frosty loves this more than he can put words.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's worth it just because of you being able, if you're going to play the whole series.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like if you're just going to play one, I'm a little iffy if that's for everyone.
That's a good point.
Even if you're really into stories, it might not be worth it. I don't know.
But again,
Because you can just watch the whole thing.
if you
for
like
important
retro
things.
games from the 90s or the really early 2000s, this is not that clunky. You'll be fine, right?
It is
if
that
you like
clunky.
if you like retro games from like 2012, this is probably not for you, right? Like it feels a lot different, right?
Yeah.
Like 2007 to 2012, there were some big changes going on.
There's some rough stuff. But I think we should play 2 down the line for the podcast.
I'd be down trying it. Just
Yeah.
first off, I had a game breaking bug, which didn't let me
Right.
play it.
Yeah.
I'm down to play too.
I
But
think we should.
it's not the next game.
It is
Nope.
not.
So next we were thinking to play Rayman, right? Now there's a lot
Yeah.
of Raymans, and we talked about either playing the old one or the reboot. What are we thinking?
Can we do a reboot for me? Because I don't know if I can handle another
I think the
clunky
So
game.
you
reboot's
want
fine.
Origins? Okay,
It's
so-
Origins,
Is that all right?
the
Yeah,
name.
no, yeah, I love it. So I love all the Rayman games.
Have you played one?
I haven't played.
I haven't
any
either.
of
I don't even know what
them.
the character
yeah,
looks
I
like.
have no idea
What?
what they are. I know.
I know you
looks-
played
I know what he
Raving
looks
Rabbids on the
like,
Wii
but-
because we played that together on Chris's.
Is that from Rayman?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I've seen rabbits then.
So the one character that's not a rabbit, that's Rayman.
Oh,
The one that doesn't have like any connective tissue between the hands and the body and the neck, right?
okay. Got it.
guy,
All right, that's Rayman.
So I loved Rayman forever. I didn't own it as a kid, so I only ever got to play through the demos. But it's very SNES style vibe platformer. And then they went to 3D for the second and the third ones, and they're both good games. I like them. The third one maybe a little bit less than the second one. But then when they rebooted it, they said, hey, let's go back to our roots. Let's do a side scroller. And in my opinion, Rayman Origins is the epitome of what a modern side scroller should be. It's got things to unlock, it's got secrets to go back and find, it's got really slick gameplay, and it's got gameplay that they designed to allow you to go fast. If you know the map, you can go fast, almost kind of a la speedrunners, right?
Awesome.
And I think that is just the best way to do this. Now, there's a new one after that, Rayman Legends, which I think is maybe got a little more polish on it, but I think it's no better in terms of charm and story and levels like this. Now, the downside is going to be if you want to play this with us, you're going to probably want to start early because you do get locked at certain levels because you have to earn enough points to move on to
You'll
the next
collect
levels,
stars to go
right?
on to the next level. Got it.
Exactly, right? So
okay.
you can get stuck at certain things. Now, they're fairly generous with it, so as long as you're careful to collect the little creatures, I think they're called looms, you'll do fine. The one thing to note that's not obvious is that sometimes there will be a line of looms and the one will be red and the rest will be yellow. If you collect them in order, they will each in succession turn red and they're worth twice as much. Whereas if you miss and you get like a yellow guy and then you go back, then you've just like lost half of what you can earn, and so you'll earn way less. So
which one are we playing then?
Origins.
Origins.
So Rayman Origins.
And you've played Origins.
I have played Origins all the way through.
Neither of us
No.
have.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I
So
think it's great.
Origins, pick it up.
And you better be good at side scrollers because toward the end, it gets difficult.
Are we talking like old
Great.
school platformer difficult? Because we've never done a platformer on the cast.
In some ways, it's harder than old school because of just processing power. Like the environment is moving around you in ways that are just very difficult to deal with.
So there's a chance we might not finish it if we're not good enough.
You'll get there, but you might rage quit. So we'll see.
All right.
Speaking of Super Meat Boy,
All right, so folks, there it is. Mass Effect.
that was Mass Effect.
Fantastic. We'll catch you next time. Pick up Rayman and let's get playing.
See ya.